All right, so let's give you all the headlines from the world of sports as we take you from home and away from home. All right, so Scoreboard Reloaded 94.9 32 FM. I am Peter Omo, and I've got SAMIES with me on the show this afternoon, the Wednesday, where, of course, there will be events in the world of sport, events in some, and of course, events still to come. Football still to come, tennis done, in case you'll probably be saying which part, and that's in Australia because they're done. And, of course, hitting the early hours of Thursday morning. So we'll tell you what happened earlier today in Melbourne, Australia, the men and the women singles, how games went down, the quarterfinal, and how players are getting set for the semi-final game starting in the next few hours as we look forward to the finals on Sunday. Saturday for the women's singles, Sunday for the men's singles. And so we'll now know the men, the last four standing, the last four women also standing. We'll tell you how results went down earlier today. Champions League football we saw on Tuesday night. Which one were you watching? Okay, so was it the one that was held in Lisbon between Benfica and Football Club Barcelona, or you were busy watching Anfield where Liverpool won? They've got 21 points from 7 games, so they are done and dusted. So the others is catch me if you can. And were you also busy watching the 2 early kickoff? So it was all good yesterday. Every game produced a goal except the game that went down between Juventus Football Club and Club Brugge that didn't produce a goal. But for the others, they gave us goals. And tonight we'll be hoping for goals from London to Madrid to Paris and, of course, to other venues where we'll be seeing UEFA Champions League match day 7. And then next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll wrap up the league format. And then see the 8 that will be waiting for the other 8 for the round of 16. Because you need to understand how the UEFA Champions League has been placed this season. So the best 8, the top 8, will secure a place in the round of 16 and then wait for the team from 9 to 24 to go into a playoff. And then the best 8 will join the 8 that have qualified from the league stage. So it's so much to play for as we speak. SAMIES is here with me. Let's start with tennis, because for tennis, they're done and they are dusted. And so for those who have been saying world number 1 might find his way into the final, he did earlier today, talking about Jannik Sinner playing against homeboy Alex de Minaur. His game was done in 3 straight sets. And so he's in the semi-final of this year's Australian Open. So he wants to win because he won there last year. He wants to come again and get this one done. But again, he needs to go through the hard way because there's one more game for him before he gets into the final. US boy talking about Baron shooting. He doesn't want to go home to see Donald Trump. For now, all he wants to do is just get me the information of whatever he's saying because I want to stay in Melbourne, spend more nights in Melbourne. And his game was done in 3-1 against Lorenzo Sonogo. And so as we speak right now, we've got the quarterfinal games coming up in the next few days. That we'll see Jannik Sinner play against Ben Shelton. That will be the first semi-final game. And the second one will be Novak up against German Alexander Zverev. For the women, the quarterfinal game also was done earlier today. Madison Keys came from a set down to beat Ukrainian Elena Svitolina in 2-1, 3-6-6, 3-6-4. While world number 2, Igor Swiatek won his game against Emma Navarro in 2 straight sets, 6-1, 6-2. So there you have it in terms of how the ladies will pitch the semi-final game on Thursday morning. Agina Sabalenka, world number 1, will be up against Paula Badoza, while Madison Keys will be up against the Polish lady, Igor Swiatek. So it's a pleasure to have you join me on the show. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Novak and Jannik Sinner in the final, and see Ben Shelton and Alex Zverev don't have a place in that. What I'm thinking for the women, I'm thinking Igor Swiatek up against Agina Sabalenka, Badoza, and the other lady, I don't know. But what are you thinking? What do you want to see come Sunday? But first, tell me your feelings about how it went down today. Jannik Sinner, job done, easy beat for him against Alex de Minaur in 3 straight sets. SAMIES.
Well, good afternoon to everyone. And for that result that Jannik Sinner got in the early hours of today, I don't think that was in doubt. It was never in doubt that he was going to win against Alex de Minaur. Well, considering the fact that Alex is the home favorite. But then for Jannik Sinner, after everything he has achieved in the year 2024, coming into the year 2025, he also has that statement to prove that all I achieved in the year 2024 was no fluke. And of course, he did that in that 3 sets to love. 6-3, 6-2, 6-1. And that's definitely still another statement. And for Ben Shelton, the American boy, he did it against Lorenzo Sonego. Despite dropping the 3rd set, he still won the 4th set without taking it to the 5th set. And that's actually a great one for him. But while I was seated here, it just came to my mind that, wow, this is going to be such a great feat for Novak if actually he goes all the way to win the Australian Open. Why is this so? It has never been in the history of tennis. You go on to defeat a world number 3, world number 2, and world number 1. So you look at it, Carlos Alcaraz, Alexander Zverev, and that's Yannick Sinner.
That is if he gets to beat Zverev and Yannick Sinner.
Well, Yannick is not in the final yet.
Okay.
We don't know. But if he gets to defeat world number 2, Alexander
Zverev, yeah.
I think that's also one elimination for him, and then it will be all down to defeating Yannick Sinner. And if he does that, that's why I was sitting there.
But he knew, SAMIES, hold on. He knew that the road would be tough.
Of course.
Because when the draws came out, he knew that there's a certain Carlos Alcaraz in his draw,
group, yeah.
in his group, and of course the German Alex Zverev. So he knew all of this was going to happen.
Well, definitely he knows about all of this, and it's just, I don't know, he actually set his mind, his heart at it that, for this Australian Open, I want to win. Remember that he's a 10-time Grand champion that's in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And he has come to say that he wants to win after the year 2024 he had. If not that, he's managed to stay so fit for that. I think he tried to stay fit for the Olympics. And that would have eluded him as well. So you look at all of the circumstances and going into the year 2025, he has kept himself a match fit and all of that. And then it's just not taking those extra games. You know, there are games where you see Novak that then if it takes you to the 3rd set, that's definitely not one you would want to build. And then that will get dragged to the 5th set. But Yannick is making sure that he has probably the first 2 sets or the next 2 sets after the 1st set. Yeah. And then he's putting himself in the driver's zone that, yes, I'm the conductor. I'm the one directing or dictating the gameplay here. I'm the driver of the game presently. But that's actually going to be a great one to watch in the early hours of tomorrow, where we would have these games go down. That's in the semi-finals. We will have Yannick Sinner against Ben Shelton.
That'll be on Friday.
That on Friday. Then tomorrow,
Thursday.
We'll have Novak.
Speaking about Alex Zimonia, you know, he's quite poor when it comes to him playing against the top 5. He's got a win ratio of 2-22, and so not just the best for him today. Could not even get 1 set against world number 1 Yannick Sinner. So there you have it in terms for the men. How about you quickly weighing on the women? How it all went down today?
Well, in the women, just like you said, what you're thinking, I'm thinking of that also. I want to see them like just that also for world number 1, world number 2. Let's see how it goes. Sabalenka gets the victory. She definitely cuts open the gap for Iga Swiatek. She wins. She's cutting it short, and then we are just within that's the chase where I can overtake you to become, I get what rightfully belongs to me. But it's actually a good one. Elina Svitolina, I don't think she stood any chance after the defeat in Madison Keys.
Right. So, you know what, I don't want us to get round and round on this, because, you know, some people like the underdog story. I don't know, maybe you're part of those who love the underdog story. Do you see any kind of upset? Because if I'm saying what I want to see is to see Yannick play against Novak, that's going to bring out the numbers in terms of those who will be watching. Or you might just see, come Sunday morning, you see a Ben Shelton play against Alex Zverev. That's the underdog now. For the women also, Paulo Badoza against Madison Keys. I don't know how some people will feel about that, but SAMIES, do you see any kind of upset in the men and the women's singles semi-final game coming up in a few days from now, or a few hours from now?
Well, in as much as I love those sort of stories, I think we've gotten to the stage where we are no longer going to be we are no longer going to see an upset, because you take a look at all of these stars.
Are you saying Ben Shelton can't upset Yannick Sinner?
I don't see that happening.
Alex Zverev beating Novak will not be an upset. Not really an upset.
It won't really be an upset, but you look at how, just to be in a fan zone now, you look at how Novak has come And then
Yes.
Zverev is just defeating him in the semi-finals. When you know that the career in which Novak would hold in tennis maybe might not last for the next 2-3 years. Let this man just win and stand alone as a 25-time major Grand Slam champion. And so you want to see that. But then, upset, I don't think I would actually appreciate that in any of these games.
So you want to see the heavyweight in the final?
I want to see the heavyweight. And then when you get to the finals, of course, may the best man, may the best woman
of course
win those games.
Those four, if by what we want is to see Iga play against Arena, they are the best. So it's not about let the best win, because two of them are the best. If it's going to be Novak up against Jannik Sinner, these two are also, of course, the best. Let's jump away and let's talk about some other things now. Let's head straight to some football news. We will also bring you some transfer news. I know some are counting the number of days remaining. Is my club not going to do any business? What is wrong with my club? Are they not going to sign players? City are signing players. And so you want to say how many will come in the next few days. We'll help you with that, because for AC Milan, for Manchester United, for Manchester City, there seems to be some kind of movement in the last few hours. But let's talk some football and reflect on what happened yesterday. SAMIES, I'd like to get your thought. Our game went down. There's no point for me saying where was the action for you. What were you busy watching? I know you're probably busy flipping, going and coming to see where the actions are. But for me, it has to be this crazy game in Portugal between Benfica and Football Club Barcelona. Maybe some Barca fans would have walked out when it was 4-2 and say, you know what, there's no way we're coming back into this. But maybe by the time they check and refresh their phones, they find out that the club side won by 5-4. Nearly, if not almost there now. Barca on their way to the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League, doing poorly in the league, but doing well in the UEFA Champions League. They've won 6 of their 7 games so far.
Well, for all of the games that went on in the UEFA Champions League, I would say that they all lived up to the billing. From the early games, that's Atlanta defeating Sturm by 5-0. And then that's Monaco defeating Aston Villa by 1-0. I think I was here this morning also discussing about what we said yesterday, that, well, we discussed about Monaco pulling an upset in front of their own fans, definitely defeating Aston Villa, but that was it.
Single. The Ivorian with the only goal. It was fantastic in the defensive line. Very,
very fantastic. And Unai Emery side just had no response. But aside from the game, you said you actually watched and enjoyed that 9-goal thriller where Rafinha was, a demand for it. I think I had that conversation off the mic that if you look at the leading candidate for the Ballon d'Or for me, I would pick Rafinha. You look at his figures in the league, in the Champions League. You mentioned Mohamed Salah. Hold on. You mentioned Mohamed Salah. Is Mohamed Salah getting the goals in the UEFA Champions League?
He got yesterday against
He got the goal yesterday, but is he getting the goal?
But you said in the Champions League. He got in the Champions League.
As much as we are talking about that. So we take a look at the highest goal scorers probably in the UEFA Champions League. And we have Robert Lewandowski and Rafinha. You look for Mohamed Salah. What for Mohamed Salah? Well, he has just 3 goals and 4 assists compared to Rafinha, 8 goals and 3 assists in the UEFA Champions League.
This is just the league stage.
It is the league stage. I'm not taking anything away from Mohamed Salah, I said. But for me, the leading candidate is Rafinha. But in those games, that probably was not the best game for me.
Was it the same Rafinha that Barca almost thrown at the boss last season for poor performance for Nico Williams? But yeah, I understand. It's been fantastic for Barca.
The best game for me yesterday happened to be the game at the Wanda Metropolitano Stadium.
You know, when you were saying me watching the 9-goal, I was flipping. I was going Wanda Metropolitano. I was going to Benfica to see what's happening. And each time I tried to change and move the other way around, there's been a goal somewhere and there's been a penalty somewhere.
Red card.
Yes, red card also. Yesterday, that dangerous tackle from the Atletico Madrid player, he got sent off, and then Ikabi, the Ecuadorian, got sent for also for bad because which I thought was a little bit harsh. But you know when you play from home, how the fans can make their ground very hostile. So Xabi Alonso's side could not convert in spite of having plenty of the ball possession, dictate the game. They could not kill the game off. And you dare not do that against an Atletico Madrid side led by Diego Simeone. When they have the chance, and of course playing without numerical disadvantage, they will make it count. And it counted yesterday. Alvaro what's his name now? The boy City who joined for
Julian
Atletico Madrid.
Alvarez.
Who didn't get plenty of time, but look at what he did last night. You'll be saying
shots,
90 million.
2 shots on target
90
for
million worth
Atletico
it.
Madrid.
Yeah.
2 shots from Julian Alvarez.
And that was
the winning goal.
Yeah, winning
from
goal.
The
winning
Spider-Man.
goal.
You know, that was what they called him, the Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But that happens to be the best game for me. You look at that Bayer Leverkusen with the former. They've been, I think, in 11 games that they've been without a defeat.
Yeah.
And they went to the Wanda Metropol. That's home of Atletico de Madrid. And they pulled off that great result. Well, you could sell that for Bayer Leverkusen getting the first goal. And then I wondered that, okay, Bayer Leverkusen scored first. There is no way Atletico de Madrid are going to come back for this. When you look at the level of gameplay in which Atletico de Madrid, you've known them for, being that defensive side, and yet they are playing that's a man down. That's without the 11 men. They were playing with 10 men on the field of play. And like, okay, probably there is no approach for them. But out of the blues, that goal, those goals came for them, and then it was just the winner for Atletico de Madrid. So that was a good result for them also.
All right. Before we leave the game that we played on Tuesday night, I don't want to say I'm not the type who will not talk about officiating, because it's part of the game. What do you make of officiating last night between Benfica and Football Club Barcelona?
But I think in recent weeks I've actually been having issues.
Danny Makele, the Dutch, is the name, and is the man in the middle.
Yeah.
Because I felt some of those penalties were just
fact,
absolutely too soft.
The 2 penalties, is it 2 or 3?
3 penalties. 2 to Football Club Barcelona, 1 to Benfica.
I look at them and I say, okay, why? There was even one Barcelona was supposed to have been awarded. I think that was waved off also. But then you look at it, Benfica rather.
Maybe the one that Barca had, that what's his name? The left fullback Alejandro Balde. I mean, for me that was a penalty. The one for Benfica, you say too soft. The one that Otamendi got booked at Lamine Yamal and Lewandowski felt that they were impeded. That was also for me soft, and I was expecting the Dutch referee to go check VAR, but you know, some of those things were some of the things
that's the thing. You know, the use of the video assistant referee is also to aid your decision making. But then, like I said, in a couple of weeks now, I've been having issues with the level of officiating in some certain games that I've watched. That's on my screen. And then yesterday's game also was not excluded. Like, okay, why would you actually put this game at this 3-1? And then probably no one would have expected that there would be that level of turn in that encounter, but it happened to be, and I don't know how they are going to do it. It's a UEFA Champions League. I think they owe that's the pedigree of good officiating, proper use of the video assistant referee, and all of their technologies. So I think going forward also, probably they are going to investigate the official. I don't know how that is going to be, but
it's not that bad. So I hope that
what I saw from Bruno Lage yesterday from Benfica, right after the game, he assembled all his players on the field of play, and I think he was having a word with them. How can you 4 goals to 1 or 4 goals to 2?
That's what he will do. But you know, for the fans, it's about how they were not able to close that game when it was 4-3, knowing that at 4-3 the fan was expecting close the game up. But what you saw what Benfica doing was they kept attacking Football Club Barcelona, and of course that will open up the goals from Eric Garcia and Rafinha. Let's quickly jump to the games today before we wrap up the show with some transfer news. And Arsenal will play against Dynamo Zagreb, and they've got a new man in charge of the side from Zagreb now, talking about Fabio Cannavaro is now the new head coach. You will see that game later today. Paris Saint-Germain will be up against Manchester City. Real Madrid will play against RB Salzburg of Austria. Sparta Prague will be against Inter Milan, but there will be 2 games for 6:45. Leipzig up against Sporting Lisbon. Shakhtar Donetsk will play against Stade Brest of France, while AC Milan will be up against Girona. And like I said, Celtic against Young Boys, Feyenoord against Bayern Munich. Just to mention all the games starting from 6:45 to 9 tonight. That will be happening around 7 of the FA Champions League stage. So SAMIES, you have the fixtures right in front of you. Tell me where your eyes will be and what you need to tell us about this. I know you mentioned the game PSG against Manchester City, 2 teams who are not in the top 8, who ordinarily, based on the pedigree of European football, should be in the top 8, but not in the top 8.
Well, definitely. That's for those 2 teams. And you look at tables now, I think it has turned. with some results of games that went down yesterday, and then I see Manchester City seated on the 24th position with 8 points.
That's the last spot
for
knockout
qualification.
Yes,
and then you see Paris Saint-Germain seated 26th.
They're not there
with 7 points. So I think last year I was saying that I wanted this match, the 7th game, to be played. That was last year, and then you see how Manchester City can really fight for. Okay, I want to qualify for the UEFA Champions League. Let me see what I can do. And also against the Paris Saint-Germain side, who also wants to qualify into the next round of the UEFA Champions League. But it happens to be that maybe both teams now, they've actually gone through the phase of winning games and all that. And probably they are stable. They've had quite a good run. And they'll be up against each other later today. And for Manchester City, I want to see the level of gameplay they would actually want to throw at Paris Saint-Germain later at the Parc des Princes later tonight. And for Paris Saint-Germain also, how they can absorb, because a lot of people have also discussed about what's his name, Luis Enrique has not been that good manager. Because a lot of people have criticized him as saying that he only achieved that treble with Barcelona because of the level of players he had. But with Paris Saint-Germain, we saw him. I think he was unable to win anything with Lionel Messi in the squad. Kylian Mbappe, Neymar, Sergio Ramos. He was unable to win anything major with this side. So with the likes of Gonzalo Ramos, Zaire Emery, what do you want to win? So we want to see what he will do against the Manchester City.
Maybe they're going to have
Ksaviglia
on the pitch if it's not injured or having any kind of knock. So tonight we'll wait to see how these two heavyweights in European club football will fare. Paris Saint-Germain doing well in the league. Manchester City not doing really well in the league. And of course, they've got one eye on Saturday, 6:30 against Chelsea in the English Premier League. So there you have it in terms of how game will go tonight. Decider for some team who will be looking for maximum points, if not getting to the top 8, but be in a position where they can qualify to play in the knockout of the UEFA Champions League later this year. All right, so there you have it. I know that Arsenal also is playing tonight. They'll also be looking for a win. If they do get a win, they also jump because they are in that top 8 brackets of teams that will automatically qualify for the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. For Leipzig, been poor for them. Sporting Lisbon also not been fantastic since their former head coach Ruben Amorim left the club side, and so wait to see what they will do tonight. AC Milan up against Girona also, that will also catch up with. And of course, when we come on Thursday morning, we'll share how the result of all of these games went down. Let's wrap up the show with some transfer news. Come to you back, SAMIES, because for Manchester United, it seems to be weighing what they have on the table from Napoli Football Club for Alejandro Garnacho, and nothing yet concrete about Marcus Rashford. Tell us more about all of this, SAMIES.
Well, for Marcus Rashford, I think he was in training. That was in the early hours of today for that game they are set to have in the UEFA Europa League. And of course, I think that's actually a good one for Marcus Rashford, and for Ruben Amorim. Maybe he has definitely had a good think out about all of that, because you can't go by those decisions and then results are not going your way. You know, you came into the side, Marcus Rashford played your first 2 games, he was on target in those games, and then all of a sudden you said you don't want Marcus Rashford in your team, or you don't want him in your starting 11, you dropped him out of your squad, and then you look at how the results have also turned out for you. 10 games, 2 wins. And you actually said your side maybe is the worst set of Manchester United players. Come on, you should actually think about it. And then you look at one of your best forwards in the side, and you just needed to actually throw him within the balance and see if something good can come out of Marcus Rashford. But still, the future of Marcus Rashford is not in the balance, where he has also, I think I read that he actually is considering also joining FC Barcelona. Let's say in the next 3 to 4 days, we will know the true definition of that.
But one thing is certain now, in the last few hours, Rashford cannot longer take that move from Manchester to Milan, because Kyle Walker in the last few hours has been confirmed as the new player going from Manchester City to AC Milan. So Rashford's move,
medicals are set to
go down on Thursday. So Rashford will have to look somewhere else or stay in Manchester and play for Manchester United, and maybe in the summer he might probably get that move away from Old Trafford to where we'll wait to see. Maybe Dortmund also can also come in, because for Dortmund, like we said yesterday, if they don't get to win their game against Bologna in the UEFA Champions League, Nuri Sahin will be sacked. They lost 2-1, and so the former Turk, now no longer the head coach of Borussia Dortmund, will not have a place again in the team. So he's gone. And so for Dortmund, is a search for a new head coach ahead of the game this weekend. If not, as they play the UEFA Champions League last game, that will be next week, Wednesday. So there you have it in terms of what the transfer news is saying. Still nothing yet from Arsenal, because that's where most of the fans are looking at to see where will that signing come from. Dusan Vlahovic, from what I gathered, is that move to Arsenal will no longer happen. So Arsenal would have to look somewhere else and see if they can get a number 9 ahead of their game on Saturday. If not, maybe the game they'll be playing the 2nd of February, and that will be against Manchester City in the English Premier League. So there you have it in terms of what the news is saying in the transfer news, and hopefully when we come on Thursday, we should have more to tell you. That will be it on this Wednesday edition of Scoreboard Reloaded. I've done this with SAMIES. I am Peter Omo. Don't forget, UEFA Champions League game starts from 6:45. If you want to catch up with us early kickoff, or if it's a 9 p.m. kickoff, that's also good for you. So we'll see you guys when we come on Thursday morning. That will be at 7:45 for Scoreboard in 15. I am Peter Omo.